Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Creating Your Desired Life with your host, me, Dr. Esther Graham. I am so super excited that you are here today. We have a wonderful guest, something to just kick off this new season, this new year, and just really get in alignment with everything that we have set our intentions for in the year of 2025. So I am glad that you have made the decision to join me today. Listen, this is creating your desired life. One of the things that I absolutely love is that God has just given us the power, the ability to create the life that we so desired. Listen, it's a life by design. What does that mean? That means in every area of your life, you have the power. Hear what I'm saying? You have the power. It is already in you. You don't have to go out and get it. All you have to do is know how to access it. You have the power to create the life that you desire. You're the designer. You are the designer to create a life by design in your health and your wellness, in your personal development, in your growth, in your business as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a CEO, wherever it is, wherever you are in your life, in your relationship, the power lies within you. And so creating your desired life is designed to give you different tools to just kind of nudge you along a little. So today, my guest for today is Chef Brittaney Moore. What I love about my guest for today is that when I met her, she was on her road to entrepreneurship as a chef. And while she was doing all of these wonderful, wonderful things, it was like, you know what? She said, I just want more. I just know that there's more that I can be doing. And here it is, as 3, 4 years later, I believe, since we've been together and even coached together, she set some things in place. We just had a conversation. Again, this is creating your desired life to where, we talked that a setback. I want you to think about this. A setback is just really an opportunity for a set up. Because many times we'll have setbacks and we'll just stay in that setback. But how many of you know that when we have setback, there's things that happen in our lives that really can change our landscape, the landscape of what's happening. And so that landscape is really controlled by you. In other words, your setback can put you in a place to where you're set up for greatness. You're set up to access that power that lies within you. Why? To create that desired life, right? When you make a decision and you're very intentional to live a life by design in creating your desired life, you will begin to change how you see, how you view what is happening in your life. And you will take those setbacks, and then those setbacks will just set you up for a great setup, for a great comeback. You'll be like the comeback kid, right? And so today, our discussion for Chef Brittaney Moore is going to be surrounded at how you could take wherever you are in your life and really begin to walk with intentions and greatness, and realize it's those little steps, it's those nano moments that takes you and propels you to your greatness, propels you to creating the life that you desire. So let's get started and let's bring Chef Brittaney Moore on. I'm going to have her reintroduce herself, what she's doing in the world. So let's welcome to the stage Chef Brittaney Moore, as I like to call her, Chef Brittaney. Come on, y'all. Let's just celebrate her and welcome her in.
Hello. Well, first of all, I just have to say what an honor it is to be with you, Dr. Esther. And I'm so excited for the conversation today. Again, I am Chef Brittaney. I am co-founder and co-owner of A Pinch of Bliss. We are the premier full-service catering company for conferences, retreats, businesses, and coaches.
Yeah. I tell you what, so I have to go back, everyone, to when I first met Brittaney. I hosted my very first retreat. This was several years ago, and in a beautiful location in the Outer Banks. It was just all women, and it's a personal development retreat. And I needed a chef because I found this beautiful 28 bedroom house, right? A mansion that was just absolutely phenomenal. And I picked it because I wanted to have a place where we could come in. It's an intimate environment, and I wanted it to be premier food, premier service, just some deep diving into personal development. And so I was looking for a chef. And one of my clients said, I know someone who I think that you will really love. And so I reached out to them and talked to them, and her partner, and which, by the way, is her mother. Her and her mom are in business together. Totally. The next time we interview them, mom will come on, and we're just going to do it together. And so I hired them to come. And can I tell you, from that time to this, it has been wonderful. The food and everything, the service has been excellent. But the one of the things when I met them, they weren't very well known, right?
No,
You were doing
not at
some
all.
things out in Atlanta, right? But it was
Mhm.
like, this is just so great. What is it can we do to even take it further? And so I tell you, they just got into gear with their excellent. Their food wasn't just great because, the presentation was great, but the full service was absolutely phenomenal. So Chef Brittany, what I'd like
Yes.
to ask, first of all, is, share just a little bit about your journey from becoming a chef and what inspired you to become a chef in the first place.
Well, it's kind of funny because a chef was never on the menu,
Yes,
pun intended. And
yes,
so, over 15 years ago, my mother was in corporate America. And so we call her Chef Mama.
yeah.
And so
I
she
gave her
would,
that name, y'all. I gave her that
yes, you
name.
did. Yes, you did. And it stuck. And
Yes, I gave her the
everybody
name.
calls her Chef Mama now.
Yeah.
And so my mom was working in corporate America. And, my mom was a single mother for most of my childhood. And so she stayed having like 2 or 3 jobs. And so I didn't even know my mama could cook. I know that sounds funny, but I was doing most of the cooking because she was busy taking care of us. And so there was this potluck, and she decided to make collard greens for the potluck. And when I tell you, it caught fire from there. And literally, this team began asking her to bring a dish. This team began asking her to bring a dish. Then it flowed over to people were like, well, can you make this for my Thanksgiving dinner or my Christmas dinner or my Easter dinner? And then it began to grow. And we were like, hold on, this is becoming something. And we took this love for cooking, her love for cooking, and it became an impromptu catering business. And so since then, we've had the pleasure of serving celebrities,
Yeah.
New York Times bestsellers. We've had the pleasure of serving 8 and 9 figure earners, and it has been a wild ride, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love how you said that it just happened, like you weren't planning, because with many entrepreneurs, it just happens. It's like you just discover, wait a minute, I actually love this. I have a passion for this. And this is something that people want. And I could actually provide the service that others want. So tell me, when you first got into this, what was your vision for your business? When you first started, what was your vision?
It's so interesting because I really don't believe that we had clear vision, because it was something unexpected from us. I thought that, maybe we were going to make some good money, have
It
some
was like a
connections.
hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Or a
I
hustle, a side hustle. That's it, a
a
side hustle.
side hustle,
Yeah.
make a little change, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Get to cook and serve people because, we love serving people. And that's really the greatest part of our company is us serving others. And I think it wasn't until Chef Mama and I decided to go to Le Cordon Bleu, which also was something that she dragged me into when I think about it, because I didn't want to go to college. I was like, psh, I'm good. And I went with her to her open house. And next thing you know, I'm filling out a FAFSA, registering for school also. But I think when we saw the grandeur of the
Yeah.
culinary industry,
Yeah.
vision began to come into place, and we said, "Wow, no, this could very well be a generational asset for our family."
Yeah, that it's so, it's so good, when we think about the journey of how we get into what we're doing. I think it's so good to hear this, especially for women, because, creating your desired life, one of the things we do is that we're promoting women in business, personal development, and not that men aren't included, of course, because we are about
Yes.
humanity. But, as a single mom, trying to figure it out, and someone
Yes.
who says, I'm just going on for the ride and this is just some change we're going to get. And now I'm in college. Now I'm going to La Cordon Bleu,
Yes.
How amazing is that? So when you started working together, what were some of the biggest challenges you began to face in business when you decided, okay, this is
Ooh.
going to be a business? Because now you're catering for celebrities. You've got 9 figure earners that you're catering to. You do private catering. There's so much. I've watched it just have grown. And when you came, by the way, it wasn't that you were that small. You were catering, but now it's just expanded even more.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges that you were facing? Your biggest challenges?
Ooh. What kind of time you got, Doctor?
Give us one. Give us one.
Oh, I would say, I'll I'll try and fit two in,
Yeah.
because it's very difficult to be in business with your mother.
Hmm.
It's difficult. I mean, I love her, but there were some times where I was like, nah, you got it. They want your cooking anyway, honey. Hire somebody else to help you. I'm gonna be at the crib living my life, because there was this transition period
Yeah.
where I had to honor the wisdom in my mother,
Hmm.
and my mother also had to see the adult woman in me. And
That's good.
so
That's good.
in that transition, it was a little rough, because you grow up being told what to do, how to do it, and then you got your mama bossing you around in
Yeah.
your adult life. You're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then when vision began to spring up in me, to have your mother be like, little old girl, you don't know what you're talking about. We gonna do it like this.
Yeah.
And so I think we had to honor the gifting in one another.
Yeah.
And I think when we begin to honor that gifting, because mom brings something to the table that's absolutely essential, I bring something to the table that's absolutely necessary. And when we play those strengths, that's when we really begin to see the business grow.
Yeah.
And I think the second challenging thing was separating our heart from our business,
Ah, so good. So good. That's good.
because we are naturally givers. All we want to do is give. We want to serve. And so you'll have people manipulate and play on
Yeah.
that gift giving. And they'll tell you, "Well, I don't have enough to
Yeah.
pay for this service." And let's be clear, catering is a luxury and premium service.
Yes. Yes.
And so we would work to the bone and not have a profit to show.
Yeah, yeah. I want to do a follow-up question with that, because it's just so good. Because first of all, it's the gifting. You both had to honor the gifting. So I want y'all to think about this. If you're an entrepreneur, parallelpreneur, you're solopreneur, and you're on your journey, and you may even work with a family member or someone you're thinking about partnering together with your business. I like how you said you first had to honor the gifting in each of you. Now, I have watched both of you even up to December, when you catered um, our marriage retreat, right? And I just
Yes.
love how both of you work together and you both know your field, your areas of expertise, and you're just allowed to flow in that. So tell me, as you're thinking about what you just shared about the challenges, how did those challenges impact your today operations of your vision for the future? Because I
Ooh.
want to talk about what's your vision for the future. But
Yes.
how did it impact your operations today for your vision?
It's so interesting that you asked that because I think we had to have a Jesus moment, a come to Jesus
Yeah,
moment, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
we were both tired of knocking our heads up against the wall.
yeah.
Right, because Dr. Esther, if I could just be honest, I
Please.
quit a couple of times. I was like, first of all, I don't even like cooking. I mean, I'm good at it, but I don't like it. That's mom's passion. She
Yeah.
don't need me. I'm finna be at the crib, homeschool these children, because I homeschooled my children for 10 years. And she got that. And then there were times where mom was like, Psh, honey, I'm tired of going back and forth with you. You got it. And each time we would separate, the business would not flow
Mm.
and the gigs would not go to the level and the standard that we were used to providing.
Right, right.
And so I think what had to happen was like, okay, look, I need you. You need me.
Yeah.
We're a happy family.
Family. I love it. I love it.
And so
Yeah.
we had to kind of write down how do we operate as a business. Okay, mom's going to be in the kitchen, but I'm great with logistics. Mom is great with menu planning, but I'm great with the displays. And
Yes.
so when we kind of work together but on separate projects, oh, we running it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it because there's some things that, like, for example, you're excellent with desserts.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you are really the creator of many of the desserts. Yeah, not that you don't do the food, but I love how,
Yes.
like, there's certain things that Chef Mama does that's just and then there's just certain things that you do that's just, great. I love to see how you just work together with that. So when you're thinking about, your business and where you were, what made you decide to invest in transformational coaching? To kind of take you, because one thing I know for sure is that while your business was doing well when we met, I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because
Yes.
I want people to know the truth. This is a authentic, very transparent conversation because
Yes.
we are
Yes.
here to help someone grow. But what made you decide to invest in transformational coaching? And you're a business person. I mean, was that even on your radar?
You know what? It was absolutely necessary. That time that we spent with you. If I could just let me just step back even a
Yeah,
second
yeah,
to the Outer Banks retreat experience. I think a lot of times small business owners, entrepreneurs have created an imaginary ceiling that they continue to hit their head on until someone exposes them that the sky isn't even the limit.
yeah, yeah,
And so I will never forget. It's actually a core memory of mine. And I don't know if you even remember because you've done a lot of retreats, but we met you for the first time and you were in boss mode too. You came, out of, your vehicle, you came and you shook my hand and you said, "How do you do?" And then you went into making sure that the estate was as it should be, because guests would be arriving. We all went up to the top floor of that estate. I think it was like 4 floors, wasn't it?
Really big. I think it was 3 or 4. Yeah.
It was huge. And we
Yes.
were on the elevator. And then it opened up to that ocean view. And we saw the kitchen that we would be working in for that week.
Yeah.
And I was awakened. I don't think I've ever felt so alive. Like if purpose could slap you in the mouth, that was that day for me. And then, as we were cooking and as we were serving and getting to know the guests that were a part of the retreat, the way that you moved in that retreat, there were breakthroughs happening. People were being enlightened. People were being transformed. And I said, oh, no, I gotta be connected to whatever this is. Sign me up. Yeah. And so fast forward to even the coaching that we received. First of all, you were very generous with us because, even though we had served, some celebrities at this point, celebrities will hire some good old country cooking.
Yeah.
They will hire some good old country cooking. But you helped us see, okay, the food is great. You give of yourselves in service. But how much more do you think you can grow operating in a mom and pop, or should I say mom and tot type of way?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think during that time, you really just awakened us to turning our business from a side hustle to a generational asset. Yeah. And I don't think that I ever really realized that until we started coaching with you.
I love that, a side hustle to a generational asset, because many times as entrepreneurs, right? And I myself was there at one point several years ago, but we operate our business as a side hustle, and we really don't see it as a generational asset. To wait a minute, we are creating this because we are creating legacy here.
Come on.
Through what we are doing, it helps us to be even more givers. It can lead us through lead us towards having philanthropy projects and,
Yes.
all of these different things. So that's powerful. What were some of the key strategies or tools that helped you shift your business to the next level? Once you realize that, wait a minute, this could be an asset here, to where here's what I want to say. Many times, and I heard someone say this one time, they decide they're only going to make so much because they thought, well, is it even possible for us to make more money? Right? Can we do this?
Come on.
Is it, and so they'll stop. Oh, I've met my goal. So they stop. They don't really see beyond the, hey, this is legacy. This is something that could go on. Build your business to create legacy. Build your business that even after you leave here, your business still goes on. It does not stop with you. How do you do that? And what are some of the key strategies or tools that help you shift your business and your thoughts about your business to take it to the next level?
Oh, that's so good. So I don't know if you remember this, but
shit. I don't know, y'all. I'm scared. What are you? Because I know sometimes I could go woo way out there.
Oh my goodness! This is also sealed in my brain. So we were on a coaching call and we were getting ready to do our Valentine's Day pop-up restaurant, and you were helping us kind of get everything in order so it could be a successful event, which it was.
It was.
And so I'll never forget when you sat me down and you started teaching me conversion rates and numbers and how to cost out things and how many tickets needed to be sold so you could hit your goal. And this was the goal, but this was the necessary. And then you stopped and then you looked at me and you said, okay, take a breath. You said, take a breath. I think you saw the geometric, equations floating around my head, because honestly, we were used to looking like a business in show, but not being a business on paper. And so
good.
I think I learned that a business can't be an asset if it's not profitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
A business without profit is a hobby. And
An
so
expensive hobby.
ask
An
me how I
expensive
know.
hobby.
And so it opened my mind to, are we correctly costing? Or are we just throwing out a general number that we think will cover everything? But when does the profitability outside the labor, when does that begin to come into play? And so I think when we sat down, I was like, oh, I've been doing some stuff wrong. And you were very gentle. You were very gentle, but you were like, but when we get off, I'm going to need for you to find out the numbers for everything. And I need you to tell me those numbers when we get back together. And I said, heard. But I think that began to pivot everything, because it's no growth without money.
Yeah.
We can talk about love and stuff, being passionate, all of those are great conversations, but they're superficial conversations until there's money in the bank.
Yeah.
And so I think that I will never forget that. I think when I begin to understand what is it costing us, and are we really profiting, that is when we begin to really skyrocket.
Yeah. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the moment of your breakthrough, because I do remember that conversation. When you started speaking, I was like, what? And I do remember, and I do remember you had this glaze look.
You were like, whoa, take a breath.
Yes. Take a deep breath. Breathe. Because you had this glazed look. But I
Yes.
think that was the moment where there was a significant breakthrough, where after you began to sit and put those numbers together and do some things, that you started to see a significant change in your business. Would you agree with that? Or,
Oh,
and
for sure.
yeah, I think so. And what were some of the changes that you saw?
It's so interesting because, um, it's, I call it the, booked, busy, and broke chef,
Was
right?
it booked, busy, and broke?
Broke,
Yeah.
right? Because we were booked, we
Yeah.
were busy, but we were broke. And we had this impressive building, 8,000 square feet, and they're like, "Oh, we see you, Chef Mama." Don't see us. We're broke. And we're struggling and we're barely holding on. And so I think I realized the first thing that changed, Dr. Esther, was the type of clientele.
Yeah.
People will keep you booked when it's cheap. They'll keep you booked. It's cheap and the service is more than what I'm paying for. And so, but then with that type of clientele that wants cheap over quality, it's a lot, the headache that goes with it
Yeah.
isn't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
So
isn't.
it isn't. And
And
so go ahead.
no, I was going to say, it also goes back to you valuing yourself and what you bring to the table. And so many times we'll, do a lesser price, or, because of how we value ourselves. And I even, even for myself, Brittany, I had to learn that. It's like, wait a minute, I'm bringing all of this to the table. I'm helping you, blah, blah. Let me value what I do,
Yes.
and because and I have to, if this is a business, I have to put a number to it. And so you value yourself, because one of the things that we really had to do was do some mindset shifts.
Yes.
Right? We had
Oh
to
my
do
goodness.
mindset. Yeah. So where, okay, let's look at all of this, because not only do we need to get the right clientele who's willing to pay for the services I provide, because I
Yes.
provide excellent services, right?
Yes.
But it really begins with you in terms of having a mindset shift.
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
to who I am and what I'm bringing to the table. You're a chef, graduate from Le Cordon Bleu, but you're an
Yes.
excellent chef that where this is a full body service here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as we look at that, and as you're on this whole new path, and great things are happening, and Chef Brittany is, I mean, they're about to cater for John Maxwell, y'all, and Les Brown. And so they're in rooms catering for very powerful people
Yes.
who've got powerful businesses that
Yes.
they're doing, right? And this isn't your first
Yes.
time catering for them. But so outside of all of that, tell me a little bit about, what does success look like for you now compared to when you started, with the whole mindset shift, with the transformation, everything that you've done?
If I could if I could also speak on a very pivotal moment, and I just really want to be transparent, because
Please
those who
do.
are listening, who may be entrepreneurs, and they're still climbing, I my mindset shift was a very emotional one. I don't know if you remember the retreat in Kissimmee, and you had to come outside and hold me and bring me. And we did it. Oh my goodness. I hollered and cried and screamed. And so let me just give background. I don't want anybody to be, scared or anything.
Like,
So
what's going on at the retreat? What is going on?
it
I
wasn't
really
like
need
that.
to know.
I was the only one, I promise. And so, and so, we were really in the thick of our business, and a lot of changes were happening. And, we really needed someone to come in and coach and mentor us. We needed that. And when that slot became available with you, do you remember me crying?
Yeah.
I cried. I mean, I'm not talking about
Outside by the pool, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I sobbed. Oh, I was overwhelmed because I didn't think I deserved it. And
Mm,
you made me look at you straight in the eye and say, I receive. Because at that time, when you're in this hustler's mentality,
yeah.
when you're used to, you know, doing things under the table, when you're used to, doing things in a scarcity mindset, when
Yeah.
you're used to doing things from a poverty mentality, and
Mm,
you scrape to get by, and someone opens the door to your next level, one of the things that can keep you from walking through is this mentality that I didn't earn this and I don't deserve this.
yeah.
And so I remember you you had to like bring me together, because I was sobbing. I was sobbing, and you said, you put your hand on my chest, and you was like, calm down, look at
Deep
me.
breaths.
Again, and you said, say it, I receive.
Yeah.
And that was those two words were so hard. And I remember after that, there was such a shift because nobody could tell me that this catering business wasn't going all the way. I was determined, and we're still determined more than ever that this business is going all the way. But sometimes it takes a mentor who is up here to open that ceiling that you have created for yourself, reach through and say, come up here. It's really like a midwife, right?
Yeah.
Because you're being birthed into this next dimension that you really aren't sure about. And so with that, we have everything has changed.
Yeah.
The way that we process and onboard clients have changed. Our back office has changed. Our focus is, even though we don't plan on selling the business, we want the business sellable.
Yeah.
Because that means systems and processes are
Yeah.
properly put in its place. We
Yes.
realize that our displays and the way that we serve clients, if it's not premium, then we need to come up higher.
Yeah.
And so I remember you giving us that tough love for one event. And you said, this is not your best. And this is not the standard when operating and serving premium clients.
Yeah.
Take this opportunity to reassess and come up. You did it in love. You were very gentle with it, but you were very matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I think since that moment, it was so there's been levels to this thing over the 4 years that
4 or
we've known
5
each other.
years, I think it
Yes,
is. Yeah.
there's been levels to the growth, to the transformation. And I think now we are solidifying ourselves
Yeah.
as that premier full service catering
Yeah.
for coaches, for conferences, for
Yeah.
retreats,
Yeah.
for businesses. And so that's been the growth.
Yeah. I think part of the growth for you guys as well is that I love um, as my clients is that sometimes people can't handle the hard truth. But truth is necessary. As a coach, my job is to give you the truth so you can grow. That's why you're hired. But a lot of people um can't handle the truth, or they come in thinking they already know. But if you already know, why do you want me then? Right.
Come on.
And so and one thing with you guys is that you take it and you ponder it, and then you lean in and you make the changes. And not everyone does that. Some people get upset, they don't make the changes. It's all different kinds of things. And I think that's what was wonderful about you and Chef Mama as clients is that you embrace it. And I remember that conversation where I said, this, but you could do better. This is not.
Yes.
And I remember that. And that was even a difficult conversation for me to have, but I did it because I know your potential. I know what you can do. And I love you guys,
Yes.
part of
Yes.
I got to tell you, the truth. And so since then, we've got a couple more minutes left. Since then to now, how has this journey impacted your personal life? Not just your business life, but your personal life.
I feel like you can't transform naturally and not transform spiritually.
Yeah.
I think that those things are attached to each other.
Yeah.
And so if you try and promote naturally
Yeah.
and try and stay stagnant spiritually, you'll constantly be stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think as I have seen breakthrough in business, it has put a demand on breakthrough spiritually.
Yeah.
And you come to a place where you say, God has given me the power to design. God has given me the power to rearrange, to change my trajectory, to set my course and to set order. God has given me that power. I don't search for that power in another person.
You already
I
have
don't,
it.
you know what I'm saying? I already have it. And so it begins to overflow into personal. And so I can say for me personally, I'll let Chef Mama speak for herself, but I can say for me personally, there's a new power. There's a new authority that when I step on the scene in my business and I call order and I call things, into its proper place, now I'm using that same authority in my personal life.
Yes.
I'm setting boundaries. I'm causing order to come and, all of these things. And so, I mean, when I tell you, I feel like I went from, like 8 years old to like 15 in the spirit. I've had a growth spurt, and
Good.
so it's been amazing.
I love how you say that because I'm a personal believer that your personal development, how you develop personally, it matriculates into your spiritual development, your business development, relationships, every single thing. It is key. And part of that personal development is so much of a mindset shift. It's a heart set shift. It's all of that. So why? So we can really access the things that are already placed in us. It's already there. It's already
Yes.
there. We
Yes.
just have to know how to access it and many times connect with someone who can help you access it and take you to that level depending on where you want to go. So, Chef Brittany, what would be your advice that you would give chefs or entrepreneurs, right, who might be struggling to grow their business? What is some advice that you would give them?
I think I would say that proximity produces promotion.
Ooh, proximity produces promotion. What does that mean?
And so when I say that, I mean you got to get up under. You got to get next to. You have to surround people who are already standing in your next.
Yeah,
You
good.
must. People say it all the time, right? If you're the smartest one in your circle, it's time for a new circle,
Time.
right?
New circle. Yeah, yeah.
And so I believe that getting close to those people who are already operating and producing what you see is next for you, that right there is going to bring you into your promotion, what is next for your business, your personal life, all of those things, because you can't continue to be around greatness and not be sharpened and not be provoked into greatness yourself.
Yes.
You would almost have to intentionally rebel not to also become great when you are in a circle of greatness.
So true. Yeah.
You know
So,
what I'm saying? And
oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
I
So,
have determined that I am going to surround myself and stand in a circle of greatness
circle
and
of,
continue to be produced into something great.
yeah. Amen. So good. So as we close, or, end this segment, what would you say to someone considering transformational coaching, but they're unsure if it's the right step? And then after you share that, how can people connect with you? Someone says, I want to cater. I want her to come and cater. How do I do? Because you cater, you've got your own seasonings. Now you've got several things. So quickly answer that and then share with us.
Well, I'm going to say something that's a little spicy, that may offend someone, but it needs to be said. If you're unsure, I can almost guarantee that you're broke because
Mm,
you can never demand from a customer or client what you yourself have not paid for.
Come on. Come on.
And so what you can't do is charge a premium price that you have never paid for. What you cannot do is set a standard that you yourself have not paid for. You know what I'm saying? There's a scripture in the Bible that says your gift will make room for you. And people, let me tell you, people misconstrue this verse. They think they're talking about gifts, graces, they're talking about talents. No, in that scripture, they're talking about money.
Yeah.
Your gift will put you before great men. When you pay for it, let me tell you, in Solomon's day, you couldn't just go into town and say, hey, I want to see King Solomon. But when the Queen of Sheba came with pounds and tons of gold and precious jewels, she was escorted right to the front and she was elevated and promoted in his presence. Yeah. So if you are looking for transformational coaching, do it now. It is imperative to get to your next.
Yeah, very much so. Very much.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And so if you are looking to connect with us, we are A Pinch of Bliss on Facebook, A Pinch of Bliss TV on YouTube. Our website is A Pinch of Bliss Inc.com. Come see us.
Yeah, come see them. Listen, y'all, if you need someone to cater your next event, these are the people that you need to get, and they will travel. They will travel. They were in Phoenix with me, and they're in Atlanta, y'all, but they came to Phoenix and they catered, and it was phenomenal. Chef, I just thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear about what's next on the Verizon. And I have to share with y'all, Chef Brittaney and her husband, they'll be joining me in our Life by Design retreat, which is May 12th through the 19th. So I got to listen, they call it a shameless plug. It's not a shameless plug for me. It's just a plug. You want to be at that retreat. So Chef Brittaney, I thank you so much for coming and for joining us and for sharing. Don't go anywhere, but we're going to go into our next segment. Thank you so much. Reach out. You need a caterer, reach out, right? Get on their schedule. Find out what they're doing. Find out, what their plans are, what's next on the horizon for them. Get their food, get their seasonings, look at their YouTube. Make sure that you find a way to connect. So let's do some self-reflection right now. Let's do some self-reflection. I want you to think about where you are in your life right now. Grab out your journals. Where are you? Where are you right now? And, this is a question I always ask. And where is it that you want to be? And what is it that you need to do to get there? I want you to think about what is stopping you? What's blocking you from getting where you desire to be? What's stopping you from living a life by design, thereby creating your desired life? So I want you to take a moment, and I just want you to begin to write that down, because until you know where you are, and until you know where you want to be, you will never be able to put some steps in place to say, this is where I am right now. This is where I want to be. I need to figure out how to get there. How do I get there? What are the obstacles? What's stopping me? So let's just take a moment and do that. Hello, welcome back. Make sure that you spend some time doing some self-reflection on where you are and where is it that you want to be. It's so important, as we are moving in life and life is moving so quickly. What is it that you want? What is it that you want? Right? And so while we didn't, today, this evening, wherever you are, go ahead and do some journaling with that. And if you need to connect, let's connect. Let's connect and let's see where I can play a role in supporting you. Chef Brittaney has a quote, and I love this quote. And the quote is, "Stop expecting people to fund your mediocrity." Stop expecting people to fund your mediocrity. In other words, get out of mediocrity and begin to see the greatness in you and begin to make a decision to go to that next level. Often people say, find your best self. You have always been good, right? You've always been good. For me, it's like, what's your next level? Because you've always been good. Sometimes when we say your best self, that gives an indication that we weren't good in the first place. No, you always have been. But now let's step into even being more powerful. What's that next level? So stop expecting people to fund your mediocrity. Value yourself. And now let's move to your next level of greatness, right? Your next level of greatness. So as we end, this episode of Creating Your Desired Life, I want you to send in questions. If you have any questions, send your questions in. We will post your questions, right? Look at, connect with me. All of the information will be at the end of this show. Connect and listen. I'm going to give a plug. Come to the transformational. It's a personal development retreat in Cartagena, Colombia. It is May 12th through the 19th. So make sure that you find information about that and go ahead and make a decision to come and start your path of transformation. Start your path of soul healing. Start your path of inner discovery. There's two worlds that we live in. We live in the inner world and we live in the outer world, but we don't control both worlds. Begin to control your inner world. Why? So your outer world can come in alignment with what you so desire and what you so want. I'm so glad that you joined me today. Take care, and I will see you in the next episode of Creating Your Desired Life. Don't forget to connect. Don't forget to check me out, y'all, on YouTube, on my Facebook page, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm here for you, and I am ready to serve you. I'm ready to support you in whatever way that I can. Be careful. God bless. Stay empowered. Stay blessed. Take care.